It goes back to the very beginning of time. It's a part of who we are. It says, in the beginning. And that's once upon a time. From our earliest days, we've said to others, tell me a story. You know what? Telling stories is the most effective, in fact, the only effective way to market you and sell your good stuff and to grow your business. So join us on The Marketing Life as we're going to discover that you must become a storyteller, because indeed, the future belongs to the one who tells the best stories. Thank you. I'm Stan Hustad, and this is The Marketing Life, and I am your Marketing Life coach. That's right. We're going to talk about telling stories. Now, this is going to be the first in a series of 4 programs that essentially say this: tell me a story, then I will buy you and from you. That's right. First of all, remember, before people buy your trucks or your tacos or your termite control or your term insurance policies, people have to buy you. And the whole program series on Marketing Life is people buy you first. And if they don't buy you, they won't buy whatever else you're trying to sell them. And in an age in which many of us are trying to put forward our own services and our own experiences and our own wisdom and expertise, people truly have to buy you. Now, I'm going to suggest, in fact, I'm going to even challenge you to remember that perhaps all of that stuff about selling and marketing that you may have learned is wrong. After many years in teaching and communications training and broadcasting all over the world, I have come to believe that if you truly want to work with people in a way that will make a difference, you have to tell a story. Storytelling is the secret to sales success. And I'm going to illustrate that today by showing you a commercial. It's a commercial which is called the Dream Rangers. It's a commercial that wasn't on the Super Bowl. It wasn't even on TV. It's about a 3-minute commercial, but people who have seen it have been deeply moved. They said it changed my life. It's made grown men cry. Let's take a look at that story of the Dream Rangers.
人为什么活着？为了思念，为了活下去，为了活更长，还是为了离开？
去期末的对吧？
5个台湾人，平均年龄81岁，1个重听，1个得了癌症，3个有心脏病，每一个都有退化性关节炎。6个月的准备，环岛13天。 2139公里，从北到南，从黑夜到白天，只为了一个简单的理由。人为什么要活着
？Now, wasn't that quite a story? As I've said, I've shown that on my blog and shown that to many people, and the response has been overwhelming. And why did that happen? It's because just before that commercial, you could have said, "Let me tell you a story." And that's what it was. It was a story. It didn't talk about, oh, by the way, this was a bank. It didn't talk about CDs or checking accounts or rates of return. It told a story about people. And as a result of that, people are moved to do some things differently. And they connect those good things, those powerful hopes and aspirations, back to the bank that might just help make those good things possible. Now let's walk right into the story of business today. A gentleman named Peter Gruber has been all around Bloomberg, CNBC. He's made the rounds. He's an incredible promoter. He's a guy who owns a professional basketball team. He's owned studios. He's been an entrepreneur, movie producer. Peter Gruber has just recently written a book, and it's called Tell to Win. Connect, persuade, and triumph with the hidden power of story. Now, this guy's no slouch. This guy's no soft sales guy. This guy has become a multi-millionaire, and he will tell you the reason he's been successful is very simple. He is a storyteller. And if you want to connect with people today, now he even says winning is important, and if you want to win in the business and marketing and sales game of life, look what you do. You connect, persuade, engage people through the power of the story. Great book. You may want to check it out. And remember, we're here to help you find out the good things that can help you in your life and business. Tell to Win by Peter Gruber. Think about that. Now, let's talk about Dream Rangers. Now, why did that movie work? Well, first of all, please keep in mind that it was a once upon a time. Please remember that nostalgia is always big. Ah, yeah. The older men say, times were better. We even think in the story of the Hebrew Scriptures, the Garden of Eden. Oftentimes we look back and remember when things were better. Nostalgia is a very, very important part of how stories tend to work. And so here you had these men. And what were these men doing? They were sitting there. And obviously life had become not very good for them. My friend Deb Newman, who a number of you saw on the previous program, who has developed some of these storytelling ideas with me, she works in the long-term care field, and she has this cartoon, and it has these four old men, very much like the Dream Rangers, sitting around. And life is not good. There they are, and one of them says, "And for this, I gave up smoking?" Again, good marketing makes us smile. And here's what happened. These men realized that they didn't want life to be the same. And they thought of when we were young, when we rode motorcycles, when we were free, when we were independent, when we were powerful. You see, stories inspire us to be perhaps more than we are. Stories inspire us to become what we want to be. And so, even though, remember, this is a commercial, they work out, they get ready, they dust off those old broken down Hondas or Yamahas, and what do? They ride again, and their lives are transformed. You see, no matter what happens to us, we want to end well. We want things to go well for us, and stories can help inspire us. Now, to show you even more about how this works, and this is not just some soft, coachy guy like Stan, who's a broadcast guy. These are tough guys who work in the business of sales and marketing. Even the McKinsey consulting company, the top drawer consulting company, has now come out with a quarterly report in which they say, many of you in business could learn from the nonprofits of the world by making sure that you understand that what we're all about is telling stories. The nonprofits are beginning to learn that if you want someone to give to your cause, you don't give facts and figures and graphs and charts. You tell a story about how you, when you give, can change the life of one person. How you can feel better about what you have done. Now, they point out that every good story has these elements: redemption, change, and hope. Redemption, that means something that was lost was found. These men found the power of their youth again. They went back. They stopped being dead and dreary and drug-infested old men. What happened is they changed their circumstances and they had hope. And that pushes them forward. And it challenges us. You know what? If they can do it, perhaps I shouldn't feel so sorry about myself. Perhaps I can ride motorcycles again. Perhaps I can do something that's unique and different. Maybe there's still some goodness and some power in me that I can be a part of. Redemption, change, and hope. Now, I want you to think about that, because then there's a wonderful woman who can help us out. She wrote a book called Whoever Tells the Best Story Wins. I believe that. Again, Annette Simmons, she's written 2 books, one called The Story Factor. And my job here is not just to promote my own stuff and my own books, but to help you find good people. And her recent book is called Whoever Tells the Best Story Wins. Now, just to give you some background in that, when I was predicting the political election, I said I know who's going to win, and Annette helped me figure that out. The one who had the best story would win. And what really happened, as you can see now, President Barack Obama talked about hope and change. And then his story became something that many people identified with. And then going forward, they say, my story could be a part of his story. So whether he had the best story, everybody thought it was the best story because they put their own story in it. Now, as our president finds out, keeping that story going is oftentimes hard to do. And it's hard to do for me as a salesperson, a businessman, or an entrepreneur, as a politician. But the point is, the best story wins. And there are time after time after time when you give a sales presentation and all you have to say is, let me tell you a story. And remember, when that happens, people stop. I oftentimes put part of the way I do things from a guy named Elie Wiesel, who is the chronicler of the Holocaust and tells the story of that terrible time in history that he survived. And when he gives a talk, he oftentimes walks to the very center of the stage, stands in the spotlight, and simply says, "Let me tell you a story." The most powerful marketing words around are, "Let me tell you a story." Now, from my own background, I can just simply tell you this. Someone challenged me with this thing. I had worked in church work for a number of years, and someone said the Master Storyteller came, and he told stories and asked questions. So we preach sermons and give answers. Now, that's not just an indictment for perhaps the things that may happen in church or your place of worship or your mosque or your synagogue. We all do that. People come forward and we preach at them. We show them illustrations. We show them things, facts and figures and graphs and charts, features and benefits. Could it be the Master Storyteller didn't do that? He simply said, "Let me tell you a story." And then he asked questions. What do you think that means? Think about that. Could it be, as oftentimes I point out, the secret that Jesus knew was tell a story. And time after time, people would ask him a question, and he would say, "Let me tell you a story." Or, "Once upon a time." Oftentimes people ask me, "Stan, what do you do?" Now, how do you explain performance coaching? How do you explain this stuff, particularly on a flight where people are tired and bored? Oftentimes I simply say, "With your permission, can I tell you a story of how I've helped somebody?" Best way for me to help you or to understand me is, can I tell you a story? And when people hear those words, "Let me tell you a story," powerful things happen. Now, the whole point of this program was we bring it to an end, and this is the end of part 1. And remember, we're going to have part 2 and part 3 and part 4. So tell all of your friends. And by the way, after you see part 2, you can go back to the store and go back to the archives. Isn't the Marketing Life Coach site really neat? These guys at Bits on the Wire have done such a great job of putting that together. You can go back, watch part 1, then part 2, and then part 3 and part 4. That's what we're going to do. We're trying to illustrate some marketing principles by doing that. The story will go on and continue. But the secret Jesus knew was tell a story has led me to believe this. I used to say this: storytelling was one of the most effective means of communication. Then I changed my mind and said, storytelling is the most effective means of communication. I no longer believe that. What I believe is this: storytelling is the only effective means of communication. I mean this. You can educate people, you can talk to them, you can teach them, but if you want to affect their behavior, if you want them to do something, if you truly want to affect them, not just enlighten them or challenge them. Please keep in mind, a decision is never a decision unless it's followed by new action. Let that sit on your head for a while. In effect, go forward today, the rest of this week, until you see the next show, and keep doing it, and notice that the things that move people, whether it be a commercial or something else, it's where a story was told, or a story was imagined, or somebody taught us in such a way that we created a story. A house sale is not about a house. It's about helping people see a future story that they like. That new car is about seeing a story of me going along. The wind can't blow through my hair, but it can sure feel good in the sunshine of Tucson, Arizona. All affected things come from a story. So the secret of the universe is very simple. Storytelling is the only effective means of communication. Now, with that in mind, look for stories. Start to tell stories. And we're going to help you figure out what stories to tell them, and how to use them in your sales processes as we continue down the road on storytelling is the only effective way to market you and your business and to make it grow. I'm Stan Hustad, your marketing life coach and hopefully a pretty good storyteller from time to time, wishing you all the best, and we'll see you next time on the Marketing Life Coach.